Today on Pots and Trowels we're talking potatoes in pots, and that's brought to you with the support of Mr Fothergill's, Allett and Cobra Garden. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, today we're going to look at growing potatoes in pots, and I know this is something we have covered in the past, but I've had one or two people just asking me if I'd run through the basic principles of growing potatoes in pots. They grow very well this way. Of course, you can grow them in the garden if you've got the space to, and we've got several rows planted in Dennis's vegetable plot, but where you haven't got the room, or maybe you haven't got a garden at all, then you can grow them on a patio very easily in pots. And what you want is something ideally about the size of a 2-gallon bucket or 10-litre pot. It doesn't have to be a decorative pot. You could just use an old shrub pot like this. This is something that I've bought a shrub in for the garden, and that would be absolutely fine for it. And with the new potatoes, what we call the first earlies, they're the ones that give us those lovely small tubers early on in the season. We're looking at about 12 weeks roughly, 3 months from planting to harvesting them. So when this has had its 12 weeks and it's more than halfway through the growing period now, we'll just knock this out and we'll have a lovely boiling of nice fresh new potatoes. So essentially we're going to go from this stage to eating potatoes in around 12 weeks. And this is what we call a seed potato. It's not a seed, it's actually just a small tuber. And because it's been out in the open and in the light, it started to produce these little sprouts here. It's a process known as chitting, and that just gives them a head start. These are just tiny little potato shoots here that are growing. So that's really easy to grow. You plant them, you keep them watered, you keep them fed, and after 13 weeks, you've got your potatoes. Of course, you do need to keep them frost-free. But that's great when you've eaten them, but you're going to need some more. And some people will plant probably 10 pots all at once, but then you get all your potatoes at the same time, and we don't want that. We want them when they're nice and young. So you can stagger them over a longer period. Now this one was started off in a pot round about first week in April, something like that. But if you do some every week or two, you can extend the season. So you can actually be eating new potatoes from July right the way through until September. And the way to do it is very simple. You just need really half a dozen pots like that. So I'm going to put this one, just put that one over there out of the way, so that you've got some more to grow. Now there's two ways you can do this. One is you can just simply fill your pot halfway with compost, then put your seed potato in it, cover it over, and as it grows we gradually add more compost until the pot's full. But that means you've got to have lots of pots on the go at one time. So the way I do it is I start with a small pot like that, which is just a 4-inch pot with a seed potato, and I'm going to keep these somewhere nice and cool and light, and then these will last for several weeks. They'll get longer shoots on them, but they're not going to spoil as long as they don't get too hot. You can actually put a few spare ones in your fridge if you wanted. A little bit of compost. This is just a multi-purpose. Put my tuber in there and cover that over, and it really is as simple as that. And then just water that, and within couple of weeks you've got shoots, and after about a month, here's one I grew earlier, you've got a small potato plant growing in a 4-inch pot. Now this is the perfect stage to pot this up. If I just take that out of there, we can see it's made a really good root system, but it's not actually started to form any potatoes yet. In fact, these are the underground stems that will form the potatoes. So this is now the perfect stage to put it into a larger container. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So just move those to there. I'm going to grow this one in a different style of pot. Again, a black plastic pot, about 2 gallons. But the difference being with this one, it's got an inner section like that. And the idea is that you plant that like that, let it grow, it will make lots of top growth, all the potato tubers will form in there. But if you don't want them all at once, then you can lift that out, and hopefully we'll get potatoes there that we can pick one out, put that ready for our dinner, put that back in and let the others carry on growing. So we'll try that and see how it grows. But you start off exactly like that, and what we're going to do is to put some compost in the base. So The reason we only half fill it is, if you think about it, if we grow these in the garden, when they grow, we pull soil up. It's a process known as earthing up to create those ridges, and it's in the ridges that you get more side shoots. So we always want the potatoes to be fairly low down in there, and then as they grow, the side shoots will produce more tubers. So as I said earlier, we could, if we wanted, just put a potato in there, very simple, but I like to do it this way. So I'm going to knock this one out of the small pot, just make a hole in there, and I don't know whether Jill can get in, and then plant that like that. Okay, and maybe just another little handful of compost. So I planted that more or less to the depth that it was growing, probably just a little bit deeper, but we've left the top of the plant exposed. And what we'll do now is give that a good drink of water. This time of the year, you should be all right outside. You know, here we are, we're getting late on in May, so hopefully the danger of frost has gone, but it's worth just bearing in mind, if there is a late frost forecast, just put a piece of newspaper or something over the pot just to protect this new growth. And then this will grow quite quickly at this time of the year. And when the growth is about another 2 or 3 inches tall, I'll add more compost, and then a bit taller and add more, so that I do it to the compost level is at the top here. And then we just keep it watered, liquid feed once a week, so that will help those underground stems and the tubers form. And then in 13 weeks time, we can see what we've got down there and enjoy our lovely new potatoes. So it's really simple. So as you can see, we've got the various stages we've got here of growth, and that gives us that succession of potatoes fresh for the kitchen over a longer period. Thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and remember, you can find all of our gardening videos that we've done over the past couple of years on YouTube and on Facebook. Next week I'm going to show you how to plant a mature apple tree in the garden and how to get it to establish. So we'll see you then. Bye.